guys that you do not want to meet in a back alley. And the shame for Perth is they don't have Matty Knight to contest against those that physicality from the breakers.
Yeah, the Wildcats will have their hands full against the visitors. Don't go anywhere though, tip-off not too far away. It's the grand final rematch, the Wildcats and the Breakers. Welcome back to the Perth Arena. Shaun Redditch, he's got his nickname, the scoring machine. He actually started with the New Zealand Breakers, the side that he will be coming up against tonight. Shaun Redditch, he's into his 13th season now, and he has overtaken Andrew Vlahoff on the game's record. He plays game number 350. He sits only behind Ricky Grace and James Crawford. Brad Roberts, Shaun Redditch, he's been a superstar for the Wildcats. He's a 6-time club MVP and a 3-time NBL champ.
Yeah, look, he certainly is. It became a joke at the end of the season with the amount of awards that Shaun would rack up at the post-season review. But I read an article from Shaun Redditch, and he expressed his feelings about being in the same conversation as these guys, as Andrew Vlahoff, Ricky Grace. What a Perth Wildcats player this guy's been.
And it's hard to believe, as we saw that vision there, he was actually cut by the New Zealand Breakers after 13 games.
Yeah, the irony in that, huh? Now he's playing against the New Zealand Breakers.
Trevor Gleeson, of course, the coach of the Wildcats, a 2-time NBL championship coach, and coaching them to success against the Breakers last season, coaching his Cats for the 99th time this evening. Game number 100 will be in their next fixture, and he's certainly racked up some great success in his short time with the Wildcats as well, as the New Zealand Breakers get set to go. Paul Hanare is coaching just his 3rd game, so it's a fair bit of difference in experience between the two coaches. He coached 2 games for 2 wins. Of course, he filled in once for Dean Vickerman back in 2015, but he got off to a good start last week, getting over the top of Melbourne United. So New Zealand, Brad, a big task for them. It's a long way across the country, but it is a big game for them to try and get a win on this court. They've lost their last 4 here.
Yeah, and you know, all that stuff comes into it when you're travelling. But this is a world-class team we're talking about, and you know, I think they're gonna be okay with that side of things, perhaps.
Well, the crowd are on their feet, just about set for tip-off in this building. Almost 13,000 in the jungle last week to see the Wildcats get over the top of Cairns in overtime, and I think just the thrill of that match has brought a lot of people back into the house. You can see them all on their feet. It is a sea of red, as you quite often see. It's an intimidating place to come, and a lot of the New Zealand Breakers will know it all too well. They had to leave this building at the end of last season after being beaten in Game 3 of the grand final. Now this is a new season, and we are almost set to go. A bit early on the tip-off, but it will be a Breakers ball. Abercrombie to inbound. Ben Woodside, the American, getting to work early. McPenny. Woodside again, great cut by Penny, and the little dish as well. Vakona was under the bucket. Abercrombie creates some room for himself and knocks down the big 3.
Tom Abercrombie just showing his scoring ability.
Runs it back the other way. Johnson from the corner, he answers back.
And Wildcats showing their versatility in pushing the ball in transition and shooting the open corner shot.
So, triples apiece to start this one in the jungle. Wildcats looking to play a much more up-tempo style of basketball this season. Part of the key to their success in the championship last season as Penny unloads and another three.
I've just never seen anybody square up to the ring as quickly as Kirk Penny does off a down screen and just shoot it. No matter where he is on the floor, it's always a smooth shot.
Some hot shooting early from both sides. And Wagstaff thought about it. He'll drive the lane. Eye off the glass. McKay with the offensive board. Couldn't put it back. Big bodies in there of Pledger and Bacona making that tough. I was saying, the Wildcats, they don't have the likes of Nate Jarwai and Tom Jervis this season. Not as big down low, and Mika Bacona made that look way too easy.
Yeah, he sure did. That was far too easy from the block, and Mika Bacona not usually a scoring threat, and easy juice there.
Jimmy McKay, his hands full. Alex Pledger tonight. Casey Prather, that's MVP from last season. Couldn't get the friendly roll. Last touch off Perth. Mika Bacona, 5-time NBL champion, captain of the Tall Blacks, of course. You know what you're in for when you come up against Mika Bacona. Pledger wrestling down low with McKay. He's got the size. He just bustled McKay out of the way. It's a little heavy. And a little hook shot. And it's going to be a Wildcats ball.
And look, McKay actually did a pretty good job there. He stayed in front and he forced the big fella into a long hook shot. But he's certainly got a job on him tonight. You know, Pledger is easily outweighing him on the weight side of things.
Okay. Now for Prather. Back for Jaron Johnson. He had the hot hand last week for the Wildcats. Prather, 3 on the shot clock, had to let it go. Damien Martin hustling under the basket, and he keeps possession for Perth.
And that's classic Damien Martin. He's one of the best, if not the best, rebounding guard in the league, and he's always attacking the ball. He's, and as we've said, he's like a bull terrier at that thing.
Not usually you see a guy only averages 6 points win the grand final MVP, but it was that sort of hustle that saw him win the award in the grand final series last season. Here he is inside to McKay, putting it on the floor. Pledger was right in his face, and Woodside had to come up with the rebound.
And Perth aren't going to get that many second opportunities with this size on the floor as Penny squares up again, and nails another triple pass.
Kirk Penny, he had his shooting problems last week, but he has started on fire here tonight. And we look at, he just had so much room, and he's able to knock down another 3, so he started very well. Here's Wagstaff. Now Johnson. Back down low for Wagstaff. Putting the moves on Penny that time. And great work to get to the bucket there by Jesse Wagstaff.
Great move by Jesse Wagstaff. I was just going to note on Kirk Penny's patience when he shoots, and there's another man when he gets the ball in the block. He doesn't rush, he always takes his time, Jesse Wagstaff.
Here's Penny, only 3 of 12 from the field in the last game, and he throws that one away. Casey Prather wants to get into the open court, trying to go past Penny, fouled on the way. He'll go to the line for 2.
A bit of a lazy turnover there for Kirk Penny. I think he carelessly threw that one away. Casey Prather getting in the lanes. You don't want to turn the ball over against this Perth Wildcats team, because that's where they're getting most of their points this year, from their defensive pressure and into the transition.
Casey Prather is so good at drawing those fouls as he drives to the hoop.
Yeah, look, I would say he's a penetrator first, and he's obviously, we talk about he's improving on his outside shot as he makes that free throw. But I think that's where he's at. He's getting the ball to the hoop. He's a slasher. He's able to get his arms in there and draw fouls, and that's where he's best.
Had a team high 19 points in game 3 of last year's grand final. Normally a good free throw shooter, but that one just a little heavy. So the Breakers have made a good start in the early going. Woodside being harassed by Damien Martin. It's a screen from Pledger. Kind of thought about the long range too. 4 on the shot clock, has to get it up. Fouled hard by Wagstaff. And just using his experience there, was it getting stressed that the shot clock was counting down Mika Bakona.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, he's not a go-to guy that's going to get to the hoop and get to the free throw line. In that case, Jesse Wagstaff, I think it was just with that left arm there, may have pulled him down a bit, but gee, that was probably a little bit unlucky for Jesse Wagstaff, and he's having a bit of a giggle about it. Good thing about Jesse Wagstaff, perhaps, is nothing like that will faze him. He'll move on straight into the next play.
Concentration on Mika Bakona's face. It is immense, the noise inside this venue for opposing sides try to shoot free throws. And they went at 59% from the charity stripe last season. Mika Bakona. And he's 2 of 2 there.
And look, both of those free throws look really nice, and it looks like he's really worked on that part of his game. And I guess if you're not getting to the free throw line much, or you know, in previous years, if you haven't been that successful, you want to be getting those easy buckets to help get you into the game.
Dangerous pass by Prather up the court. Chopped off by Mitchell. Here's Woodside. And he's going to line up the three. Couldn't get it to go that time. Big board with a bit of emphasis there from Jamil McKay.
Yeah, every time you see that guy, you just realise how long he is and the ability he's got when he's on the floor.
Prather driving the lane again, threw it up for McKay. And a foul on the floor.
And I love that. Prather just lobs it up to him, and we're seeing this a little bit with Damian Martin in the first 2 games. He'll come off the pick and roll. In this case, it's a penetration. You can simply lob it up to him because you know he'll get it.
Pledger was aware of that, committed the foul. Wildcats through Prather. Now Wagstaff. That's that little mid-range jump shot.
And I like a 2-pointer for Jesse Wagstaff to start the game. He hasn't been shooting that well from the 3, so start off with a 2 and ease your way into it.
Webster. Here's Mitchell. Abercrombie now. Mitchell's cutting to the basket. Abercrombie's shot just short. And again, McKay rising high for the rebound. Johnson. Impressive last week. Wagstaff got Mitchell on the move. Took the contact. And great thinking there from Jesse Wagstaff. As soon as he got Mitchell in the air, he was looking for the body contact and drew the foul.
Yeah, really clever play by Jesse Wagstaff. And there's that patience again. You know, we've often joked that Jesse's got, he's like a 50-year-old veteran, the mindset that he's got when he plays. And he's so patient and he's so smart for a 4 position that he plays. He plays like a point guard at sometimes as he makes that free throw.
Well, he's up to 5 points now already. He was only 1 of 10 from 3 territory against Cairns. Only went at 10% last week. But it doesn't seem to faze him. If he gets in a little bit of a funk, he can turn it around pretty quickly. 4 game last time, but he's up to 6 points in the first quarter here and trying to get the steal there on Pledger. Early whistle.
Yeah, Wagstaff just trying to get around there, but Pledger doing such a great job of using his body, and Jesse Wagstaff has no choice but to try and reach around. In this case, he got the foul. If he didn't, I would have said Pledger would have had a dunk there.
Angus Brand checks in for the Perth Wildcats. Jamil McKay was going to step off the court, but change of mind, and Jesse Wagstaff, the man who's going to have a seat. He's been productive in his minutes on the court. Webster. He can light it up if he gets going. The step back 3 from Corey Webster.
Man, Corey Webster just has a prolific scoring ability when he's on the floor. He just does not think twice.
The break is up by 6 in the first. Prather has to retreat back for Martin. The screen from Brandt. About the pick and roll. Now it's with McKay, 4 on the shot clock. Woodside all over the top of Martin. He just had to throw it up, and he drops it in.
I didn't realise it was Damian Martin's birthday, but he ends up knocking that 3 right on the shot clock.
Well, sometimes that's a good scenario. Clock expiring, had to shoot it, and he almost got the strip there, and then Brandt fouls Pledger. Martin landed awkwardly as he went after that steal. Always so dangerous. He almost got the clean strip, but Brandt certainly with contact to the arms there of Pledger.
Yeah, there's certainly contact there, and Damien Martin just getting his mug in on the play as always. And I know that his wife and some of the staff cringe every time he goes in because of that horrific injury he had last year to his mouth.
Got the big elbow from Brian Conklin, did Damien up. Martin missed a couple of weeks, came back sooner than most expected. And here's Alex Pledger, four-time NBL champ himself into his 8th season. He's certainly causing some headaches for the Wildcats. Standing 213 centimetres, he's going to have a seat at the moment. And Lowe will come onto the court.
Really interested to see how Lowe goes tonight against the Wildcats' pressure. If he's going to step out and shoot the three, as he's well known for, and spread the floor.
Prather driving the lane, getting right to the hoop. He'll be disappointed he didn't finish, but he will go to the line for a couple more free throws.
And look, that's just what we're talking about for Paps. He's a great penetrator to the ring, and I think he's put on a little bit of muscle this year. He looks a little bit stronger, so he's able to fend off those defenders when they're coming across from the weak side. And yeah, he'll be disappointed he didn't make that.
He'll be going at 33% from the field this season, Casey Prather. Missed his last free throw. I'll be happy that that one dropped down.
Wait for it, fellas.
Initially weren't sure if he was going to come back to the Wildcats. He's playing in the Summer League. Changed his mind.
And look, he's got a different role this year. He's going to have to be more of a leader. And there's going to be a lot more responsibility on his shoulders in regards to the offensive end.
Lowe with a great pass into Woodside. Prather tried to block, but Woodside able to lay it in. A 5-point ball game. Prather wants to attack the hoop again. Went it low. Webster got a little hand in there. Lowe picked it up, thrown away. Webster in the open court. Brandt giving chase. Webster protected the ball beautifully and lays it in for two.
Really clever by Corey Webster, and he was able to shield Brandt, the big fella, off his back, and he knew Damien Martin was coming from behind for the swat. And I just want you to take a look here at Damien Martin. He does not give up. It's relentless. He's coming from the weak side there, and normally that's his trademark block shot, and he would normally get that.
Yeah, Corey Webster, he's such a danger. An NBL trial at the start of last season. Returned to the NBL. He went oh so close last season. Let's have a listen to Corey Webster talking about the grand final match last year.
Grand final rematch in round 2 against Perth is going to be a huge battle. Probably see some bodies flying around and getting a little bit heated. I know that we're going to be looking to shut them down early, try and give them some payback from last year, even though it's so early in the season. You know, you want to get that mental edge over them, so it's going to be a great battle.
Yeah, it certainly will be, especially if that man catches fire at any point in this game. He had a couple of good performances on this court against Perth last season, and he's always a handful.
He sure is, and you know, Webster's one of those guys. It seems every year he adds a little bit to his game. You know, last year he was pulling up a lot on the elbow, you know, off a transition push, which is an impossible shot to make. You know, this year, what's he going to pull out of his basket of tricks?
He reached almost 20 points a game last season, Corey Webster. As you mentioned, coming back from a trial in the NBA. Didn't quite get the full-time contract over there. But the Breakers certainly were thankful to have him back, and have him back again for this season. A 7-point lead it is to the New Zealand Breakers, taking it right up to the home side. A little bit of revenge on their minds, perhaps, after the grand final last year. Here's Redditch. Almost throwing it away. Brandt, Kenny, Martin, 6 on the shot clock, and just floated up. A lot of push and shove underneath the bucket, and it'll be a Wildcats ball.
And look, not great offense from the Wildcats the last few possessions. I think they're kind of just moving the ball around, but not to anywhere in particular. And you know, we're relying on a floater there from our Damien Martin with a low shot clock, so they need to clean that up.
Breakers over the limit, so Redditch will go to the line for a couple of free throws. Again, just gives us a chance to reflect on what a career he has had. He's got the most points of any active player in the league at the moment. 5,735 as he almost adds another there. It's 1,226 more than what Mark Worthington's got. So he just has, as his nickname really shows, he was the scoring machine.
He is, and I remember playing against Sean in the Seabull, and I used to actually guard him, and me and another guy, Glenn Siegel, we're both 6-foot guys guarding Sean Redditch because he basically played the 1 through 5. He would dribble the ball up, rebound, and he'd have nearly 40, 50 points a game in the Seabull.
He's got a different role this season, though. Obviously, the last couple of weeks he hasn't played more than 10 minutes, which is the first time in his career that's ever happened in consecutive games. But he's certainly got a role. Here's Penny. Down for Vacona. Guarded by Redditch. They've had some great battles over the years. As Webster, let's fly with another 3 of that time.
Nice box out there from Sean Redditch on Mika Vacona. And I think he's going to be an impact player. He's going to be expected to come in and quick hitters and rack up the points while he's in there.
Martin down low for Brandt. Just to go against Rob Lowe. Up with the left hand and crashing to the court. As we've seen so many times, Sean Redditch and Mika Vacona. And that time, Sean Redditch wins the foul.
Yeah, we can just see him getting tangled up. And again, that started down the offensive end for New Zealand. Mika's trying to get an offensive rebound and Sean Redditch boxes him out. So that started a play behind. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that tonight.
Redditch will go to the free throw line again. 6-time Cats MVP. 3-time NBL champ. Of course, he went to the Olympics in 2008. As well, Sean Redditch, after becoming a naturalised Australian, originally from Jacksonville in Florida.
He really does have a fantastic story, and you know, it's not luck. This is a guy that works his absolute backside off. He's the guy that will stay around 2 hours after, you know, getting jumpers up or doing those insane floaters. He has worked every bit as hard as anybody else to get in the position he's in.
Some pressure on there as well. Here's Zaya Tueta, a injury replacement player for Shea Illy. He's trying to earn himself more a regular contract in the NBL. Now that he's got his foot in the door. Here's Webster, 2 on the shot clock. That was a long-range 3. Couldn't hit it. Greg High with a big rebound for the Wildcats. Jaron Kenny, New Zealander himself, trying to push the tempo. And Angus Brandt.
Great push there by Jaron Kenny, and I wonder how he's feeling playing against, you know, his homeland in New Zealand Breakers as he picks up a foul there. A little bit overexcited.
Played for a long time with Hawke's Bay in the New Zealand NBL. And Jaron Kenny came in last season as a 30-year-old rookie into the league. Did enough to earn himself a 3-year contract as well. Picked up the Wildcats Coaches Award. Here's Penny. Started so well, and again, veteran move there. Once Johnson was in the air, he knew he had him cooked.
Again, the patience of Kirk Penny. He kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit. I feel like, you know, Johnson just then got a little bit anxious and a little bit bored. He's so clever, Kirk Penny, and he's so patient. And he doesn't push anything. He just waits for it to come to him. And he's just a tough cover.
Jaron Johnson got in early foul trouble last week. It was just his first, though, tonight. And Kirk Penny back for the Breakers. First time he's played against Perth as a Breaker since 2011. He just dropped the laser, 38 points that night in the semi-final.
And I remember that game. I was sitting in the stands checking that out. Look, depending on how he's going tonight, I'm probably going to put Damian Martin on him, you know, towards the end of the 3rd quarter, start of the 4th.
Just over a minute to go in the 1st. Greg Higher. Now for Redditch. Inside to Brandt. And the moves there on Rob Lowe. And Angus Brandt drops in another 2.
Really nice back-to-basket move, Angus Brandt. I'm really keen to see how he goes this year as Kirk Penny shoots a 3.
Might have just had the toe on the line on that last attempt. He's disappointed with that effort. He was 100% from long range before that after knocking down his first 2 shots from behind the arc. The Wildcats will get possession. It's been a good little period for the Cats. They've got it back to a 2-point ball game.
They're getting high percentage shots, perhaps. They're getting the ball into the big fella, Angus Brandt, and if he hasn't got something heading to the ring, they're getting movement off the ball. Much better offense by the Wildcats.
Grant battling hard down low again. Kenny, 7 on the shot clock. Away from the bucket. Grant cutting towards the hoop. He's knocked away. Kenny can't keep it alive. Shot clock was going to expire anyway. It'll be a Breakers ball. Good defensive possession.
Yeah, great defensive possession then by the New Zealand Breakers. And I think just a bit of miscommunication there with Brant and Kenny. Again, trying to get that lob off the pick and roll.
Breakers will manage the clock a bit here. Still a good 5-second differential between the shot and the game clock. Here's Penny. Kicks it out wide, low. Long range and pushing under the basket. Jaron Johnson might be called for the foul. In fact, Jared Kenny is the man who's going to pick it up.
Didn't look like there was much in that. And here's the big fella low, spreading the floor as we mentioned earlier. And it looks like Kenny's got a holding foul there.
Yeah, on Mika Vukona under the bucket. Just locking arms a little. Maybe a lot.
See, that's the thing. Someone like Mika is so strong under the hoop that Jared Kenny may as well have been, you know, jumping on his shoulders, and you may not have even known, perhaps.
First one's good for Vukona. 3-point margin. Chance to send it to 4 with 11 seconds remaining in the first quarter. A nice smile from Mika Vukona.
Look, he's been one of my favourite players to watch as he misses that free throw. But as a player, one of my favourite to play against, just due to his physicality.
Seconds ticking away in the first quarter. Koenig drew from the corner. Will rattle its way and bounce back out. And that will do us through the first quarter here in the jungle. The Breakers blew it open early, but in the end the Perth Wildcats were able to fight back, and the margin is just 3 points at quarter time. Don't go anywhere. We have got plenty more basketball action coming out here from the jungle. The Breakers have got the early advantage. Welcome back to the Perth Arena. There was some hot shooting early from the New Zealand Breakers. The Wildcats fighting back late in that quarter. Corey Webster lining it up from beyond the arc. Jesse Wagstaff got some of his best moves going as well. Angus Brand having a bit of an impact in the first, but it is the New Zealand Breakers in this grand final rematch, taking it right up to the Perth Wildcats, Brad Robbins. It's a 3-point lead to New Zealand.
Yeah, look, it's every bit as exciting as we thought it would be, and some really hot shooting there, in particular from Kirk Penny, who's got 8 points right now, and from Jesse Wagstaff, just getting it done inside the paint. He's got 6 points, so it's other than that, it's fairly evenly spread, perhaps.
Here's Casey Prather going right at Penny, and he got the elevation. He was able to drop it over the top as well.
And look, Kirk Penny's going to work so hard on offense, so let's make him work down the defensive end, and let's punch into him inside the key. Penny climbing into the lane. Good combination with Vacona.
An easy bucket there for the Breakers. Mika Vacona up to 7 points. The Breakers veteran. New Zealand answer right back with a bucket. Here's Redditch with an ugly shot. An air ball. The veteran won't like that in his milestone game.
You could see he was getting a bit antsy, and you could see he was going to take that shot even before he headed out to the three-point line. He's not going to be happy with the result.
Playing his 350th game for the Wildcats. Here's Sean Redditch tonight. He won't be happy with that look. Here's Webster binding Pledger. A little short. Just a big body in there though. And he walked as he was trying to get that ball up at the basket again. Just too much pressure from the Wildcats in the end.
And the Cats got away with one there. You have to get a body on a 7-footer. You can't rely on just out-jumping the guy.
Johnson. Prather calling for it down low. Again, getting his way to the hoop. Blowing past Penny and dropping in another 2.
And I like this from Prather. As I said before, you need to attack Kirk Penny. And look, he's not known for his defensive intensity.
Here's Tueta going right at the bucket. And the foul. Angus Brandt. Tueta's going to shoot a couple of free throws.
That's a really nice push from Tueta. Taking it straight into the body of the big fella.
Remarkable story. Isaiah Tueta hasn't actually scored a point yet in the NBL. He played 6 minutes against Melbourne and was none for 4 from the field. 3 of those from the three-point line. Weren't able to drop, but he'll get some free throws here. He's actually playing for the Brisbane Spartans in the Queensland League under CJ Bruton, who suggested to the Breakers that they go after him. And he signed as an injury replacement player for Shea Illy. Almost given up on his dream. He's 25 years of age, given up on his dream of playing basketball, working in the childcare industry at the moment. But now he gets his chance in the big league, and he finds his first couple of points in the NBL there.
And perhaps the second you said he hasn't scored yet, I thought you were going to jinx him. The old commentators jinx, as we normally do.
No problems there. Knocking in a couple of points, doing his role, then having a seat on the bench. Pass inside, and Prather again causing all sorts of headaches. Taking the contact that time from Abercrombie. He'll go to the line for one more.
And look, we've seen now 2 times Casey Prather's gone and attacked Kirk Penny. We've now switched Tom Abercrombie on him, who's a much better defender, if not one of the best defenders in this team. Casey Prather still being aggressive and manages to get 2 points.
6 points in the quarter already for Prather. Make that 7. So he's looking to try and take the game over, and Perth have tied things up. Biggest lead for the Breakers was 8 points. Abercrombie forced tough against the baseline there by Jaron Johnson. Good bit of work defensively, but it will stay with the Breakers. Lucas Walker on the floor. Former 36er from last season. There's another injury replacement player who's out there with Matt Knight sidelined for the early part of the season. Webster driving in the lane, just lost their handle. 5 on the shot clock, thrown away. Abercrombie just reels it in, and he was fouled as he got the shot up as well. He's going to go to the line for 3 free throws, Tom Abercrombie. It wasn't really a foul that needed to be given he was such a long way from the bucket with about 1 second on the shot clock.
Yeah, look, silly foul there, and obviously you don't intend to foul someone when they're that far out, but that's something when you just need to backpedal, keep him in your sights, and look, if they're going to make a three-point shot from 50 feet out, then, you know, good luck to them.
Trevor Gleeson, furious. He thought the ball went back over half court, and Abercrombie had his foot on the halfway line. Comes up short, does Abercrombie on the first free throw. And just makes the second. He's certainly a man that knows how to put the ball in the bucket. He's the Breakers' all-time leading scorer. 21 points in game 3 of the grand final last season. And he's missed 2 of the 3 there. So let off there for Perth. Damien Martin calling the shots. Johnson pops out, puts it on the floor quickly. The wraparound pass. And Brant was fouled. And we'll go to the line for a couple.
Yeah, a bit of a heavy foul there by Kirk Penny. Nice little wraparound pass. Yeah, clipped him right in the head there, but there was nothing else he could do. He was clearly beaten, and that otherwise would have been a dunk.
Maybe a little bit of frustration as well, just making sure Brant felt it, because we see the timeout called. Penny had seen Prather go past him a couple of times on the last few plays. He was making sure that Brant wasn't putting that one in the bucket.
Yeah, I think so. It certainly sticks into the pride when he gets scored on a couple of times, and you know, Kirk Penny's probably thinking, I need to get down the other end and get a quick score so we can even it out a little bit.
Where do you see the game sits just at the moment?
Look, it's very, very, we're talking 1 point of difference, but it really is quite even throughout the game. At one stage we're seeing not great offense on both ends, and then all of a sudden both teams are picking it up.
So listen to Trevor Gleeson. In fact, Casey Prather, we'll just talk about him for a second, because really he's completely taken over this game, hasn't he, in this second quarter?
Yeah, he has, and you know, I mentioned it a bit earlier. He's got a lot more load on his shoulders this year in the leadership department, but on the offensive end.
Let's have a listen now to Tom Abercrombie, just talking about the rivalry between Perth and New Zealand.
I guess that rivalry with Perth has just been born out of the success that the two clubs have had over a number of years, and we've met up in playoffs and finals a lot of the time, and a lot of similarities I think between the two clubs and how competitive and hungry we are, and you see that in the way we play and get after it, and it's just two teams that don't want to back down and have their eyes on that prize, and it's made for some really good games over the years, and obviously they got one up on us last year and we're looking to get that back.
It has been a great rivalry for such a long time, Perth and New Zealand. It's amazing to think that they have split the championships over the last 7 seasons. The Wildcats winning in 2010, 2014 and 2016. New Zealand in 11, 12, 13 and 15.
It's crazy. Like, if you were to say, when you say those numbers out loud, it actually sounds like you're making it up, but it just shows that the success for 2 of these clubs.
Brant at the free throw line for Perth. And he puts him in front.
Really productive game from Brant tonight. He's 6 points at the moment. Really showing his presence.
Wild pass from Mitchell. Webster was able to reel it in. Good ball movement by the Breakers. Webster pops out again. Martin overcommitted. Webster couldn't knock down the shot. Mitchell hustling hard for New Zealand, but Jaron Johnson comes up with it. The Wildcats have the lead as Prather just driving the lane again.
He is just not settling tonight. Last week, potentially, took quite a few outside shots, and this week he's getting straight to the hoop, trying to get that done.
Pass inside, disrupted by the Wildcats. Webster cutting to the basket. Prather, he's feeling it at the moment. Kicks to Johnson. Abercrombie was right in his face. Wildcats have settled into a bit of a rhythm offensively. Here's Prather again. Got two big bodies to go against that time. Brandt with a follow, but missed it.
And it's one of those things, they're not going to stop going to Prather until the Breakers figure out how to stop him.
Mitchell trying to back down against Walker. It was a long way from the bucket. Short on the hook shot. Walker had Prather there, but Mitchell recovers well. Now the Breakers turn. Webster down low for Pledger. Back for Webster. Now Pledger's got that isolation that he wanted, but he was, again, short on the hook shot. Brandt doing just enough.
Yeah, just enough. Nice defense. Way to stay in front. And look, Pledger's he's a solid big man in there. There's a bucket of moves underneath the hoop.
Prather going right at Pledger. Takes the contact again. And again he'll go to the line for one more. Casey Prather feeling it in this second quarter.
Yeah, he sure is. And look, are the Wildcats doing much? You know, have they got this miraculous offense at the moment? No, they don't. What they're doing is they're finding the open, they're finding Casey Prather, who feels like he's got an advantage on his opponent, and they're setting him up and putting him in a position to score.
I mentioned against Cairns in the last game, he was driving the lane, but the shots were sort of coming from a little bit further out from the basket. He's getting right in and under tonight. And he's got 9 points for the quarter. Make that 10.
Yeah, I think last week he was just settling a lot more. This week he's not taking no for an answer. Damien Martin is going to pick up the charge.
Massive defensive play from Damien Martin. And the Wildcats finding a real groove at the moment.
And New Zealand Breakers right now need to huddle up and try and get some momentum back, because these are the type of things that can swing a game in this building. Breakers need to stay composed.
Damien Martin just reading the play. Mika Vacona had nowhere to go. The crowd are on their feet applauding. The Perth Wildcats have turned this one around.
And Mika just talking to the referee and saying, hey, I didn't have any time to land there.
Damien Martin just drawing a little bit of blood from the elbow after that collision, or from the arm. He goes off just for a little bit of treatment. The Cats will have to bring somebody else on. Dexter Koenig-Drew suits up. The crowd are on their feet in the building. 5:41 to play in the second quarter. The Cats trail by as much as 8 in the first. They're now up by 6. Here's Walker, mostly guarded by Vacona. New Zealand trying to up the defensive pressure. Woodside slapped it away from Kenny. Still Wildcats ball, 11 on the shot clock.
Damien Martin's just subbing back into the game. They don't want him off the floor for a second.
Casey Prather to inbound. Okay, trying to get the ball back into Prather's hands again. Been driving furiously at the hoop. He throws that one away though. Woodside picks it off. Walker commits the foul. Sort of professionally just giving that one away, Lucas Walker. Martin was ahead of Woodside.
And look, just looking at that last possession there, as you see Lucas Walker giving up that foul. Probably didn't need to, given you've got Damien Martin in front. You know, Woodside's not going anywhere. But looking at that last possession, I'd like to see McKay maybe take on low in the low post, step him out to a 17-footer and take him off the dribble and be a little bit more assertive on the offensive end.
Woodside, the hand of Damien Martin right in his face. Kirk Penny finding some room. Disappointed that one didn't go down. But easily got past Kenny. That's come up with a stop. Okay, down low, bustling against Rob Lowe. One almost dropped in. Just rattling out of the hoop. Woodside. Pick the tempo up a little, retreats back. Lowe put it on the floor, and the big man will go right to the hoop. And a nice finish with the left hand.
Lovely finish by the big man, and he's showing that he can move. He's agile. He's up fakes a three. As Kirk Penny got shot by a sniper there.
He's checking his ankles at the moment. Kirk Penny. Forward to Walker. Good movement by the Wildcats. Prather wants nothing else but to go right at the hoop. And Why wouldn't you? He's on fire in this second quarter.
And I said it before, he looks like he's put on a bit of weight, and he looks so much stronger going to the hoop.
Good pass by Vacona. Woodside out for Penny. Would have been a three. Again, they wrestle under the basket. It'll be a Wildcats ball. Abercrombie can't believe it.
Yeah, Abercrombie is not happy at all with that. And there's Kirk Penny with a simple up fake. And yeah, it looks like Tom Abercrombie pushes Jared Kenny in the back and just gives him a little love tap.
Certainly had the size mismatch, Abercrombie. Just getting over the back of Jared Kenny. The referee's just trying to calm things down a little. Starting to get a bit heated. Breakers over the limit again. Again over the limit quite early on in the quarter as well. Still 4 minutes plus to play in the second. And there's Kenny knocks down his first point of the game.
Yeah, giving away a few cheapies, I think, New Zealand in this second period. And you know, you don't want to be sending the Wildcats as Jared Kenny misses that but gets his own rebound. You don't want to be sending them to the line 4 minutes to go.
He knew it was short, Kenny, so he followed it up quickly. Kicked out to Wagstaff, and Kenny will get another offensive board. 2 in a row for Jared Kenny. Goes to the hoop himself and lays it in for 2.
And I'm glad Jared Kenny is getting the minutes that he well deserves. And I like the combination of him and Martin together. Both offensive rebounders. Take pressure off Martin on the other end.
Woodside behind the back, and Abercrombie lost a handle. Trying to go after it again was Kenny, and over and back go the Breakers. The Wildcats ball. The defensive pressure from Perth's really gone up in this quarter.
Yeah, it's just gone up a notch, and you know, Jared Kenny there being one of the main instigators. Damien Martin's his hands are everywhere, but really they've been doing a solid job at protecting the hoop. We've seen Woodside get into the key, but he's really not going anywhere.
Breakers scoring really slowed down. Just 7 points for the quarter. As Wagstaff goes hard, get that one to drop. Perth have put on 19. Here's Penny. Low, kicks it right across for Abercrombie. And down low, an offensive foul goes against Low. Jared Kenny in everything.
Great defensive play by Jared Kenny, and look, Jared Kenny has really stepped it up the last few possessions. Potentially could have been there a little bit late, but nice defensive play and a nice little kick there on the end as well.
Slashing out with the boot a little, Jared Kenny. He's fired up.
Yeah, I think the big fella stood over him a bit, and Jared Kenny saying, not on my watch.
The Wildcats come up with another big defensive play. Just over 3 minutes to go in the half. Here's Johnson. Doesn't have to do too much offensively. Look at the dribble moves. The handles from Jaron Johnson just didn't have the finish. Woodside back again. Penny thought about pulling up, and he was almost stripped by Damien Martin, but Martin knows that he just got a piece of the arm and gave away the foul.
And look, New Zealand in a bit of a rut at the moment. And look, I may be speaking out here, but I'm not liking the push from New Zealand. I like New Zealand as these fantastic ball handling skills here by Johnson, but I like New Zealand to play a half-court game and run Penny off screens as he misses that jumper.
The catch and shoot. He hit his first 2 shots, did Kirk Penny. It's gone a little colder since then. Wildcats looking to extend this margin. They might want a bit of a handy buffer as well, because the third quarters haven't been their friend in the last couple of games. Martin trying to lock that one up for McKay. Too much traffic in the lane. Woodside thought about throwing it up in transition. Martin flashed past. Goes to get the defensive rebound there.
And look, again, I think New Zealand, they're just going a little bit too fast, and Perth are doing a great job of speeding the game up. But I'd like to see him walk the ball up and run these offensive threats off a few screens.
Here's Wagstaff. He's getting inside as well. To get it up over the defense, and it's tipped back in.
Got to box your man out.
And New Zealand want to talk things over. Timeout called. There has been a massive momentum swing in this game. The Perth Wildcats have really taken it away. And to be honest, it's been Casey Prather that has really been the man that has ignited the Wildcats. had just 3 points in the first quarter, did Casey Prather. Now he's up to 17 and he's doing it all.
Yeah, he is, and you know, initially you look at the roster they've got, it doesn't look like they've got someone you can give the ball to and say, go get me 20 points.
So look at the shot chart for Casey Prather and you can see how much work he's doing in and under the hoop.
That's right, and this is clearly significantly different than we seen last week with Casey Prather, and he is getting all of his points from inside the dotted line there, and he's inside the key. He's penetrating to the hoop. He's gotten a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. He's able to bump and doing a fantastic job on the offensive end.
14 points for the quarter for Casey Prather. Inside certainly looking for him. Able to draw a foul on Abercrombie there, but you have said it, Brad, just his ability to get so close to the bucket in this game as opposed to last week against Cairns, where he's taking his opportunities from a little further out and made it a little tougher. And he's finishing well tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's a mindset that you get yourself in as a scorer, and he's clearly reassessed last week's game and thought, okay, I need to get something done here tonight, and he's changed his mindset completely.
He's only 10 of 30, going at 33% from the field going into tonight. Casey Prather, he's at 67% from the field this evening, so he's really upped his shooting numbers. 6 of 9 so far. And he's helped the Wildcats to this 11-point lead. And New Zealand, who was so good in the early stages, they've really stopped their scoring. Now they're under pressure again. Extended pressure from the Wildcats. They had to get it up over half court. Now they've got the numbers. Pledger kicks it out. Webster with a long-range three. A little short. And Johnson able to get the rebound.
It just looked like Webster was favouring that offhand as he was coming out of the timeout there. And I wonder, it'd be interesting to see if that's taped up in the start of the third.
Ball in the hands of Casey Prather again. Got the screen from McKay. Thought about lobbing it up, kicked it instead to Wagstaff. And Jesse Wagstaff nails the three.
And again, this is a guy that shot terribly last week in terms of Jesse Wagstaff shooting, and not afraid to shoot the ball this week.
Yeah, 1 of 10 last week, Wagstaff. Would have enjoyed seeing that one go down. Great work there by Delaney. He's checked into the game. He draws the contact, Finn Delaney, and he'll go to the free throw line for a couple of ones from the charity stripe. Nice little spin move there. And Finn Delaney, chance we saw Izzy Tueta get his first points in the NBL just before. Here's a chance for Finn Delaney to do the same and play against Melbourne, as he does get his first score in the NBL. Didn't play against Melbourne in the last game, but he did play 4 times as a development player last season. Earned himself a full contract for this year and knocks them both down from the free throw line.
New Zealand Breakers just extending the pressure, which I like. It slows the Wildcats down a little bit, even if it is, you know, almost a false pressure. It shows that you're there and it's able to slow them down a bit.
Inside the last minute of the second quarter. Good defence that time by Abercrombie, but Prather gets it back, elevates again. And you see the height of Pledger. Able to reel in the rebound. Woodside in transition. Webster down low for Delaney, and he banks it in. It was a good start from Finn Delaney coming onto the court. He's got 4 points in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, nice start for Finn Delaney there, and the New Zealand Breakers starting to build some momentum. They need to get a stop here and get a quick score.
Delaney trying to knock it away there from Wagstaff. Little differential between the shot and the game clock. Wagstaff fouled on his way to the hoop, and he'll shoot a couple more free throws.
Yeah, nice move from Jesse Wagstaff. And again, look, I know I'm like a broken record, but the patience that he's got when he's in the key. A lot of guys, when they get in there, you know, they just want to quickly get it up before the defender can get there. Whereas Wagstaff, he's a complete opposite. He'll get you on your back. He'll let you wait around a little bit. He'll do a little scoop shot.
Jesse Wagstaff, one of a number of Wildcats who's recently become a father or about to become a father as well.
Yeah, he's a father now in the off season, and really, I think we spoke as he makes that free throw last year a lot about his quirkiness that he's got off the court. He's built everything for baby Kensington.
What do you mean everything?
Everything, the cot, the bedroom, the whole. He's built everything from scratch all by himself, and he's given up all of his social well-being just for the building.
He's a man of many talents, is Jesse Wagstaff. As we count down to the end of the half, and Woodside is blocked heavily by Jamil McKay. A huge rejection. And he's an important defensive player. We'll look at it again. Woodside going to the bucket, and Jamil McKay denied that with authority. 2 seconds on the clock. Abercrombie and a fumble. Now Meyer in there to try and lock it up. Time expiring in the first half, and that will do us. As we see this last possession, Abercrombie was trying to catch and shoot. Greg Hire just about out of court, but time had ticked away, and that will do us in this first half. New Zealand have a lot of soul-searching to do at the break. Things have turned quite badly for them in that second quarter. The Wildcats are able to take over the game as we get across to Brad Robbins with Casey Prater.
Well, Casey, you seemed a little bit quiet in the first quarter. Second quarter, mate, what happened? You just come out of the blocks or attacking the hoop?
Yeah, early on I was looking for everyone, trying to get everyone involved. It's caused my aggression to be a little less, so I decided to be more aggressive and then pass from there. So.
Well, it's certainly turning the game around for the Wildcats, and you know you guys have got quite a lengthy lead now. What's been the difference with the group?
Just our aggressive mindset. We came out in the first kind of sluggish. Coach challenged us to pick it up a little bit more. The crowd behind us, so we just wanted to come out with as much energy as we could.
Good luck for the second half, mate.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Brad
Back to you,
Robbins.
Paps.
Thanks, Brad, with Casey Prater. And Prater 14 points in that quarter to help the Wildcats to an 11-point lead at halftime. Don't go anywhere. We'll have all the analysis of the halftime break coming up next. Brad, can you hold that?
Finally got to win a championship against a team that's usually had the wood over.
The Wildcats have crowned their fans in Honey in the decider.
So much enjoyment just to see the reaction of the guys of hard work, and we had to fight for that championship.
This is what we needed, a Game 3. Somebody's got to get it done today, right here.
Game 3 of the grand final, you know, we had about 20 hours earlier we were playing New Zealand, and then we get 14,000 people buying tickets in that 20 hours and coming to the arena, and the guys were lagging, you know, energy was low, but as soon as they step across that line and our Red Army supports them, you can just see the whole team lift.
This is what you play for. 14,000 people for a Game 3.
You know, to come against New Zealand in a final series where they've knocked us out of 2 grand finals. Just one of those things that the guys just kept backing themselves and backing themselves. To finally beat them in a series was massive for us. Not only to win a championship, and we didn't want to play on it, we didn't even really talk about it, but looking back, it was fitting that we finally got to win a championship against a team that's usually had the wood over us.
The Wildcats have crowned their fans in honey in the decider.
So much enjoyment just to see the reaction of the guys of hard work, and we had to fight for that championship big time.
That championship was very special to me just because, you know, we didn't have a James Ennis, we weren't the minor premiers, we had injuries in and out of the season, so it was a very special championship, and the MVP was certainly the icing on the cake.
Perth Wildcats 2016 NBL champions.
The Perth Wildcats, the NBL champions from last season, they unveiled their new championship banner last week, Brad Robbins, but you can see there the rivalry between New Zealand and Perth. It's just been something special.
Yeah, there really is. We're talking about the two most successful clubs in the last decade and potentially ever to play in this league, and every time they play one another it is just brutal.
Oh, and they're going at it tonight again, but it was Perth really in that second quarter. They were able to take it away from the New Zealand Breakers. They outscored them 25-11 in that second quarter, and they really took over the game.
Yeah, they sure did. New Zealand started off shooting pretty hot, and then they dried up a little bit, and they're just trying to push the ball a little bit too much.
Casey Prather was instrumental in that as well. We'll check some highlights of him in just a second, but really it's been the Wildcats getting it done inside, hasn't it? Which we probably didn't expect, given that the likes of Nate Jarwai and Tom Jervis aren't there this season for the Cats.
I think it's the mindset, as Casey alluded to in the halftime break. They've really changed their mindset this week on getting the basketball into the free throw line area, no matter who it is.
It was a good start by New Zealand. We see Corey Webster here taking it right to the bucket. They were up by as much as 8 points early on, but from that point on, really, the Wildcats probably stepped it up defensively, and that's something Trevor Gleeson's spoken about this season. They want to turn that into offense.
They have. The last 2 games have been very successful when they're playing great defense. It enables them to use their athleticism and push the basketball on the open floor to get easy points.
And that man, Casey Prather, has been right in the thick of the action.
He's just been simply sensational that last quarter. He was dominating, he was getting to the hoop, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's able to take the bump, and he's so much more confident than we've seen last year.
Jared Kenny getting involved as well, the New Zealander getting in against his country's NBL side. But let's have a look now at Casey Prather's night against Corey Webster as well. It's one of the key matchups of the game. Webster started well, but Prather's really taken over.
Yeah, it was sort of the opposite. Webster started well and went a bit cold. Prather didn't start so great and just took over the second quarter.
He certainly did. 14 points in the quarter for Casey Prather to lead to 17 for the game. And time again, he was just able to get his way to the bucket.
He was, and again, it's the mindset. He had no three-point attempts in that first half. He had his mindset to get to the hoop for a dunk, and if it wasn't a dunk, he was finishing strong and hoping to get to the free throw line.
He's the Wildcats MVP from last season, Casey Prather. But we know Corey Webster, he knocked an early one down there and obviously got this one, plus the and one after that. Even if he doesn't shoot all that well, at certain stages, Corey Webster, he can catch fire.
Oh, he certainly can. And I think that what they're going to do is slow the basketball down a little bit next half.
Well, there's a big half coming up. The Wildcats have got an 11-point advantage just at the moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll see if the Breakers can fight back.
Well, Paulie, you guys started off pretty strong in that first quarter. Well, Paulie, you guys started off pretty strong at the start of the first quarter. What happened in the second enabled the Wildcats to turn it around?
Yeah, we just lost that physicality battle, points in the paint and second chance points for them, and the offensive rebounds. I think Perth picked up 4 right there. So, that was our main focus point in that locker room. And we spoke about it before, it's always going to be a physical battle over here, and we've got to win that one if we're going to have a chance.
Thanks, Paulie. Good luck for the second half.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Perth Arena, where the Perth Wildcats are in a pretty commanding position at the half. They lead it 47-36. It's been a big swing in this game, and they lead it by 11 points. Well, how are the New Zealand Breakers going to get back into the game? Let's get across to Brad Robbins with the Breakers coach, Paul Henare.
Well, Paulie, you guys started off pretty strong at the start of the first quarter. What happened in the second enabled the Wildcats to turn it around?
Yeah, we just lost that physicality battle, points in the paint and second chance points for them, and the offensive rebounds. I think Perth picked up 4 right there. So, that was our main focus point in that locker room. And we spoke about it before, it's always going to be a physical battle over here, and we've got to win that one if we're going to have a chance.
Thanks, Paulie. Good luck for the second half.
Cheers.
Brad Robbins there with Paul Henare, the New Zealand Breakers coach. They certainly have a lot of work to do. Wildcats out to a game-high 14-point lead at one stage after the Breakers led it by as much as 8 in the first quarter. And Casey Prather, that man there, he was on fire in that second quarter, dropping 14 points. He's 6 of 11 from the field, going at 55%. And he was the one that really changed the fortunes of the game. The Wildcats struggling to gel offensively early in the contest, but Prather certainly got them going. The second half is underway from the Perth Arena, an 11-point lead to the Perth Wildcats. New Zealand want to try and chip into this lead as quickly as they can. Vacona gets it wide. Penny unleashes a big 3. That's exactly what the Breakers wanted to start.
Yeah, what a start by Kirk Penny. Very similar in the first quarter. It seems like they've just changed their mindset and listened to Paul Henare's words.
Third quarter's been a real struggle for Perth. In their opening 2 games, Jaron Johnson hasn't quite had the shooting prowess that he did in the last game against Cairns. What can New Zealand muster? Penny again trying to go up that screen. McKay with the deflection, and now trying to get it running again is Prather, stepping through the lane and out of room. It's a small gap. Penny comes up with the rebound.
New Zealand Breakers very lucky to get away with a turnover as Tommy Abercrombie nails the 3-pointer pass. Great start for the New Zealand Breakers.
Back-to-back 3s for New Zealand, and they take 6 points off that lead in a blink of an eye. Prather throws it away. Woodside with the interception. And Wagstaff in front, so we'll just hold it up. Down low to Vacona. Going against McKay, one way, then the other. Got a good look at it. Just couldn't get it to drop.
And the intensity seems to have changed here. We've got New Zealand Breakers up in the intensity on the defensive end. And Perth Wildcats just carelessly throwing the ball away.
Damien Martin after it. Here's Jaron Johnson. Into McKay. He'll elevate in the paint, and he got the friendly roll.
Nice. I want to see him do that a lot more, even if it's, he's not making buckets. It's movement, and it's showing that he's not afraid to take him on.
And Abercrombie, he goes with a long 3. Prather brings in the rebound. Wagstaff Trying to go in, McKay. Here's Prather. He's given some room to shoot this time. Just a little short. Woodside. Inside to Pledger. And he drops it in. There is the lineups on the floor at the moment for the Perth Wildcats as they started the game.
New Zealand's offense much more flowing at the moment. They've slowed it right down. They're getting through.
Prather into the lane. A little heavy off the back of the iron. Kona. New Zealand certainly up the tempo. Penny for Pledger. The free throw line. Range attempt. Couldn't hit. Johnson. Now there is McKay, who was giving away the offensive foul down low. Venue here just changing the score a few moments ago. So it is 49-44. It was a travel, in fact, against Jamil McKay. And that 5-point advantage in favour of the Perth Wildcats.
And how quickly he can just turn around, perhaps hit a couple of threes, get an inside bucket, and all of a sudden
stolen away by Damian Martin. Away to Prather, who'll try and elevate. He couldn't get the finger roll finish, but the follow from Johnson.
And that's where Perth's at their best, when they're in the lanes and they're up in the ante in the defensive end. They can get in transition as Casey Prather gives away a foul there on Woodside. But New Zealand breakers have got to be more careful on the offensive end. We can't be just throwing the ball away, in particular when Damian Martin's got his arms in there.
That is the last person you want to be throwing it in the vicinity of. Packed house in the jungle. They'll be nudging 12,000 again for the second consecutive game. Back right up into the top tiers here in this arena. All the players on the floor trying to kickstart this comeback for the New Zealand Breakers. Keel Mitchell, what can he do to get involved? Driving hard there against Wagstaff. Again an attempt a long way from the bucket. Pledger with the offensive board once, twice. The Breakers will come up with it again. Woodside putting the dribble moves on. The step back shot would have been a 2.
And look, I want to get the ball in Corey Webster's hands. I don't know how we're going to do it, but you've got to get it in his hands and allow him to create. He needs to get into this game.
You know what sort of a scoring threat he is, Corey Webster, when he gets going. Here's Jared Kenny. He pulls up with 3 on the shot clock. Tipped away again by Kenny, but Abercrombie comes up with it. Driving against Wagstaff. A holding foul on the way past by Damian Martin. It just has the active hands in there.
Yeah, it just looked like he got his arms in there, and look, they've switched there. It looks like on the screen, and Damo's just thought he could get a back tap, and get that through.
Woodside driving, kicks out. Abercrombie thought it was good out of the hands, but not there. Now the Wildcats in transition again, pushing it, and high off the glass goes Jesse Wagstaff. Good finish.
Yeah, great finish by Wagstaff. I mean, there you got your 4-man running the floor and getting a layup. Just showing the versatility and athleticism.
Energy and the tempo that Cats able to play with as Woodside buries a big 3.
And they needed that. And look, if they're not going to score the basket, you want to make sure that someone's plugging the point guard, whoever rebounds the ball, to not enable them to push it up in transition.
Just over 4 minutes to go in the third. Wildcats still holding sway, but it's been a good fight back in the early stages by New Zealand. There's a bit of work going off the ball by Woodside and Jesse Wagstaff. Wagstaff blowing pretty hard. He's going to come from the floor. The referee just saying that the knee just went out a little from Woodside.
Yeah, and look, it started at the with the on-ball screen. They switched the screen, and Woodside was just giving Wagstaff a little bit of a tug and a bit of a hold, and that continued into the block.
Johnson in for Brandt, working hard. Get physical under the bucket there. One just popping out. Six-point ball game. It was 11 at the half. As a long-range shot from the big man in low. Couldn't find the target. Kenny driving the lane. Just to feed it back out to Damien Martin. Walker on the floor for Perth. Martin down low for Brandt. Has to go himself. There was pushed baseline by Lowe. Affected the pass, and another turnover from Perth.
Yeah, he went nowhere with that spin. He had the baseline as a second defender.
Woodside showed a bit more intent in this quarter. Webster, you wanted the ball in his hands. Being guarded, Damien Martin, a hand right in his face. Webster made some room and knocks down the two.
And hey, potentially a push-off, but that's why he has to get the ball in his hand. A play before that, he drew two people, maybe not a great shot by Lowe. He draws two people, which enables Lowe to shoot that three. Get the ball in his hands.
As Jaron Johnson loads up a big three, almost got the friendly roll. Woodside pushes it quickly, and Mitchell goes upstairs. He likes to throw it down, and that's enough for Trevor Gleeson. He doesn't want to see any more. It's been a good fight back by the New Zealand Breakers. The margin is back to just 2. And again, the third quarter, the curse of the Perth Wildcats.
And look, Trevor Gleeson alluded to that in his interview last week about this third quarter and what they have to do to get on top of it.
Well, another big crowd in to the Perth Arena, the Jungle, the Red Army, as they're called. Almost 13,000 in the building there was in the last game against the Cairns Taipans. It just creates an immense arena. And Paul Hanar, the New Zealand Breakers coach.
It doesn't get any bigger. You know, they have a great fan base. Their fans are so vocal. The volume of fans that they have is outstanding. So, you know, as an opposition player or coach or whatever it is, you come in wanting to beat them. You know, because you know if you do, you've earned it and you've deserved it.
It is a tough place to come and play your basketball. They certainly get dressed up and come in. It's a party atmosphere in here most of the time, but they do make it tough for opposition fans. Brad Robbins.
Yeah, look, they sure do. I know playing in this arena, every time you would come home, no matter how bad you played on the road, you were always able to get up that extra, you know, that extra 50% purely because of the environment that you're in. It's an entertainment environment, it's a family environment, and you literally look around and we're looking at a sea of red. You can't see anything else.
It's amazing explosion and what it's done for basketball in Perth. I mean, the Wildcats always pretty well supported, but moving to this venue in the city from Challenge Stadium where the games were played, which is just a little bit out of the CBD, 3 or 4 Ks, a little bit harder to get to, but when it's right in the city, people turn out in their droves.
Yeah, and people used to always say to me when I played, oh, we wanted to get back to the good old days, and we're starting to get there now.
Prather wanting to get his way to the bucket again. It's been a great fight back by New Zealand. Turn an 11-point deficit to just 2 in this third quarter. Perth struggled against Brisbane and Cairns in the third quarter. They've lacked that intensity with 2 on the shot clock. Kenny just had to throw it up. Just haven't been gelling offensively as the Wildcats in this quarter. Damien Martin, 5 on the shot clock again. Now Walker's going to have to make his way to the hoop. Ugly shot. McKay reels it in. It didn't hit the hoop. Shot clock violation. And Perth sublime in the second quarter, but it's starting to get a little ugly.
And yeah, look, let's give the Breakers some credit, I think. Their defense has been fantastic. Perth are not getting the shots that they were getting in the first half. And you know, Casey Prather maybe not being as aggressive as he was in the first half.
New Zealand, they're up and about at the moment, low. Wide for Webster. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Mitchell spinning baseline quickly on Walker. Lovely move from Akil Mitchell.
Great move. And you know what? Basketball is a pretty weird people as Casey Prather shoots that 3.
Okay, fighting hard under the bucket, but it did catch the baseline. It'll be New Zealand ball.
As I was saying, you know, as we look at the nice move there, and he does like to get upstairs, but they're very superstitious. So is it in the Wildcats' head that, hey, it's a third quarter, we normally don't play that well? Don't know, but it's certainly something to think about.
Plenty to think about for Trevor Gleeson as Webster went for 3. Scores level. Wildcats have seen their lead disappear pretty quickly as Damien Martin, the captain, tries to lift his side. McKay had a piece of it but couldn't reel in the offensive rebound.
And not much scoring power on the floor at the moment, apart from Prather for the Wildcats.
Well, inside the last minute of this third quarter, Penny lining it up below the offensive board, and McKay got just a piece on the way through. Still plenty of fouls to give for the Wildcats. With 51 seconds remaining, 50.9 seconds on the clock. We see McKay just making plenty of contact with the arm there of Rob Lowe. Chance for the Breakers to take the lead. Something you wouldn't have thought possible looking at it at half-time. Such was the control of Perth in the second quarter.
They certainly had all the momentum, and they've certainly lost that now, coming towards the end of the third.
Tueta. Now Rob Lowe from a long range, and Rob Lowe puts the Breakers in front.
And he doesn't hesitate. He has not hesitated one time tonight from beyond the arc. A lot of confidence in the young fella.
The Breakers have the lead inside the last 30 seconds of the third quarter. Prather gets back into his work, dropping that one in.
And he's inside the key. That's what he needs to do. He can hit the 3, yep, but if I can get to the hoop, I want to get to the hoop.
Last possession here with New Zealand. Tueta down to Akil Mitchell, who will take the 2, and he'll go to the line for one more, fouled on the way up.
And what a composed play by Tueta there. He's got Casey Prather, one of the premier defenders in the league, on him at the halfway line. He just shakes a little, gives a bit of a hesitation, and then dumps it off to the big fella. Great play.
Prather maybe disappointed that he'd gotten past and committing the foul. Breakers coach happy with his team's play in this third quarter. He spoke to him at the half, Brad Robbins. And they've made an inspired comeback. Here's Prather answering back, or trying to, with a 3, and that will do us. What a remarkable comeback by the New Zealand Breakers in that third quarter. The Wildcats were all over them in the second. They had an 11-point lead at halftime, but the Breakers, they take the advantage into the final change. It's the Perth Wildcats 55, New Zealand Breakers 59. Big finish coming up. been plenty going on inside the Perth Arena tonight. The crowd enjoying the spectacle between the Wildcats and the Breakers. Plenty of excited fans hoping for a big finish here inside the jungle. It was the Breakers by 3 points at quarter time. The Cats by 11 at the half, but New Zealand by 4 at the final change. A seesawing contest, and it's going to go right down to the wire, you'd think. The crowd on their feet to start this final quarter. The Wildcats again, the third quarter doing them no favours, giving up a big lead. As Jared Kenny left alone, and he knocks down the first bucket of the final quarter.
Really nice aggressive play by Jared Kenny.
Casey Prather, speaking of aggressive, steals it back, and we're square.
And isn't it amazing? A couple of buckets within 30 seconds and we're all square.
And stolen away again. Prather with consecutive steals, takes the contact, and he couldn't get it to drop. But there is the energy that Trevor Gleeson would have been wanting in that third quarter. And that's Casey Prather igniting them again, this time at the start of the last.
And look, when you've got 12,000 people, you know, screaming and standing up, and I can barely hear myself in here, it just gives you that extra bit of energy, an extra bit of burst, and Casey Prather really acknowledging that.
Well, they only had 2 points in the third quarter after having 14 in the second. And he's got himself going here to start the final quarter as well with a couple of steals. And now putting the Wildcats back in front.
You know, New Zealand just need to take a big breath right now and just get the ball over the half court and play some decent offense.
Mitchell advancing it. Got low. Now Woodside. Got higher in the air. Plenty of time on this possession. Woodside wide low. He's been striking it well from beyond the arc. Not that time. Breakers almost came up with it, and then Prather almost threw it away. The noise huge inside this building as Kenny loses it. Woodside goes sliding. Jump ball to call. And it will be a Breakers ball.
And again, the Wildcats just speeding up the tempo right now, and as a steal there for the New Zealand Breakers by Woodside. But, you know, they just need to take a big breath and relax, get the ball over the half court and run some offense.
All about keeping cool, calm, collected head. When the atmosphere is like this, almost 13,000 people in the building. Seeing a ripping contest. Here's Woodside. He's only got better as the quarter's gone on. The half's gone on, stolen away. Jamil McKay to rise upstairs. And he lays it in for a couple more. And Perth have made the fast start to the final quarter. New Zealand want to talk it over. The crowd are on their feet. The noise is just electric.
Yeah, it sure is. And look, Rob Beveridge used to always talk about this when he was coach here, that, you know, and he's the king of this, but the full court pressure, in a way, is a bit of a bluff to try and get the opposition to get out of their comfort zone and to get out of their system and what they run. And that's exactly what the Wildcats have done now.
Where was this in the third quarter?
Exactly. Where was this in the third quarter? And, but, you know, with all of a sudden the crowd's on their feet. Trevor Gleeson, I'm sure, had a few words to the guys at quarter time. Now we've got ourselves a ball game.
There's a 15-point turnaround in the third quarter. Now the Cats have come out on fire at the start of the final term and turned a 4-point deficit into a 4-point advantage. As we have a look at the leading scorers so far in the game, and Casey Prather really stands alone in terms of the numbers he's been putting up with 23, but it's really been a team effort by New Zealand. They've really shared it around.
Yeah, no, they have. We haven't had anybody outstanding. Just when you think, you know, Kirk Penny hits a couple of threes and is going to start to take off, you know, he then gets shut down, and it's really been spread out within the group.
And as you see the Wildcats shot chart as well, It's mainly Casey Prather that's got the bulk of the buckets there underneath, but they've really done it inside tonight.
Yeah, they have. And again, it's all from their defense, and that enables them to get transition points and close-range shots.
Which you wouldn't really have expected coming into it, given the size of Vekona and Pledger in there for New Zealand. That's a little bit undersized this season with the absence of Matt Knight, but they've really been attacking the hoop.
I think that's the point. They've really been pushing the ball and attacking the ring as opposed to settling for those outside shots as Greg Hyatt tries to fight through that screen. But it's just been the intensity and how quick the Wildcats are playing.
Webster on the catch and shoot, knocks it down. Off the assist from Woodside. Good execution there by the Breakers.
Yeah, and they definitely needed that 2 points then to silence this crowd, if not give them a little bit of momentum.
Kenny just putting the forearm up there on Woodside, who wasn't happy. There wasn't a call. Here's Prather spinning on Webster, who stripped it away. Great hands in there from Corey Webster. A chance for the Breakers to level things up or perhaps take the lead. Woodside. All the way back to Penny. Trying to get the screen high right there with Penny again. Penny still finds enough room to put it up. Pledger with a big offensive rebound, fouled by Wagstaff, who came in to help out McKay. And Pledger will go to the free throw line.
And look, you know, Pledger's a big guy, but it's not good enough. You have to get a body on him when he's at the free throw line coming down from that screen. He's too good of a player to just try and out-jump him. He's too big to try and out-jump him.
60% free throw shooter last season, Alex Pledger. So Wagstaff happy enough to give up the foul, but he's good on the first.
And look, this is really nice for the New Zealand Breakers right now, because they need to get a bit of that momentum back. And you've got to understand, it's very hard to play an up-tempo style of basketball game for 4 solid quarters. So they just need to keep getting a couple of points here and there, getting a few stops, and try and silence this crowd in order to stay in this game.
Damian Martin and Jaron Johnson come into the action for the Perth Wildcats. Greg Hire and Jared Kenny take a seat. Now the extended pressure from the Breakers, and they almost come up with a steal. Wagstaff had to fight past 2. But it really is crunch time in this one. Scores level with 7:17 remaining in the final quarter. It's been a gripping contest. Just when you think one team's about to bust away, the other one comes roaring back into it.
And look, it'll be like this until the final dying moments of the game, perhaps. Both teams are too good to just let this one blow out.
Prather likes the big moments. What a battle between Heath and Corey Webster. Damian Martin now putting the dribble moves on. He had the support of McKay. The shot well short. What a block by Pledger on McKay. Denied him going to the rim. We get a jump ball. It'll be a Wildcats possession. But Alex Pledger right in the face of Jameel McKay.
Yeah, great block by Alex Pledger. But what he did good was he knew that Damian Martin wasn't as big of a threat at the ring as McKay was. So he backpedaled enough in order to be there to block that shot.
McKay's usually doing that to other people, not being blocked himself. 5 on the shot clock for Perth. Inbound to Prather. Not sure if Vekona tipped it out, was ricocheting away anyway. Woodside now to Penny. Prather got a big piece of it, but the foul was called.
And I'm not sure what's going on. It looked like a clear foul to me, but I'd love to see the replay on that when we get the chance.
Trevor Gleeson's calling for a travel. The crowd booing everything at the moment. They are very much emotionally invested in the contest. Casey Prather picks up the foul as we have another look at it.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not, yeah, look, it's...
He got the ball first, but he certainly made contact with Penny.
He did get the ball, absolutely, but there was certainly contact there. There was no staging that one. It was a clear foul. As you said, the Perth Wildcats fan are always emotionally invested, perhaps.
And Penny misses the free throw, much to the delight of the Red Army. Penny, the leading scorer for New Zealand tonight with 11 points. Which isn't all that high, but they've really shared it around. He misses the second as well. That is unusual from the New Zealand veteran, normally an 82% free throw shooter. But he couldn't find either of them there.
I was just about to say they need to enjoy that one miss while they can, because he won't miss the second. And I'm glad I didn't say it.
Those scores remain level. Expect this one. He's going right to the line. Jaron Johnson, the hero in the dying stages last week for Perth to send the game to overtime. Martin gets it from Wagstaff, the trademark floater, not that time. Pledger starting to have a physical presence in this final quarter.
Again, Pledger then took his chances. He knew Martin wasn't going to be as big a threat as McKay, so he held back, and they end up getting the ball.
Vukona backing in on Wagstaff, had it knocked away. McKay got a hand in there. Martin spots Jaron Johnson, but it was short on the pass. Big collision between he and Vukona. Johnson landed hard. Vukona got almost a knee to the face then, but Vukona's back up on his feet. What's the call?
I think they're just going to play on. It was all incidental contact. Both players wanting to foul.
Johnson not happy that there was no foul, but it will be a Wildcats possession. Vukona tough as nails. He was straight back to his feet. Here's McKay. Martin now to Jaron Johnson. We're fired up after that last one. Jared Kenny from the corner.
And he loves that corner. Last year it was so frustrating when he would hesitate to shoot it. This year, no hesitation, Jared Kenny.
The New Zealander making a big shot there against the Breakers, and now New Zealand throw it away. Big couple of minutes there for Jared Kenny. You can tell that he's fired up. He trained for a long time with the Breakers without breaking through. Moved across to Perth last year and has paid dividends. Wagstaff. Here's Kenny. 7 on the shot clock. Back for Wagstaff. 4 on the shot clock now. Driving the lane. And a lovely finish with the left hand from Jesse Wagstaff.
Again, showing the versatility. You've got to worry about his step-back three. He's able to take it on his left and get all the way to the bucket for a 4-man.
16 points for Jesse Wagstaff. A return to form for him tonight. Webster under pressure. Pledger heard the voice of Abercrombie, who lets fly with a big 3.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to throw that one up until he heard Tom Abercrombie in the corner. And you wouldn't want anyone else shooting it right now.
New Zealand aren't going away. 2-point lead to the Cats. Inside the last 5 minutes. Johnson, guarded by Abercrombie, got the step. There was a foul on the way. Webster, the man. Might have just got a hand in there.
And, you know, I'm actually okay with this foul because, in a way, you'll kind of want to take the sting and the air out of this stadium. And, you know, every now and then to give up a foul like that, stop a score, I think I'm okay with that.
Jared Kenny has a seat for the Wildcats. Jaron Johnson, not all that happy. So good last week. Just the 5 points tonight. Wildcats looking to extend a very slender lead. Prather, good screen from Wagstaff, goes right at Mitchell and just forced his way to the bucket.
And again, there's the strength that Casey Prather is showing this year when he's getting to the hoop. He is not backing down.
Against a much bigger opponent than Nikhil Mitchell. Here's Webster looking to answer back. Drops it down low. Ledger loses the handle. The Wildcats come up with a steal. 4 points the advantage for the Cats. Crowd riding everything. Noise has just gone up a few notches in this final quarter. Here's Damien Martin, 6 on the shot clock, and a screen was illegal there from Jameel McKay. The bucket won't count from Damien Martin. He just extended the leg out there a little, Jameel McKay.
Yeah, he did. On that re-screen with Damien Martin, as you can see, he just sticks. Yeah, just sticks his pelvis out a little bit. You can't really see it from that angle on the hip of Woodside, and there's a clear foul there.
Here's Abercrombie pulling up for a long-range 2, and he buries it. And you can just see the seesawing contest that we've had. Just when you think one team's dominating and running away with it, The other teams come back into it. It's been pretty tight, though, in this final quarter. Cats started a little better, but only now lead it by 2. Jaron Johnson threw it up hard. McKay with the follow. Wagstaff in there as well. Pledger recovers the best and wins possession for New Zealand. Mitchell's trapped. McKay putting the pressure on. They do well to get out of it. Abercrombie down to Pledger. Webster was screaming for it. Woodside drives the lane, drops it down, and Pledger rises and throws it down with authority.
Nice little scoop there to Pledger. It looked like he nearly missed the handle on that one. Always get told never to throw the ball low to 7-footers, but he got it and tucked it away.
Scores tied again. McKay left alone to shoot it. Thought better of it. Prather fouled. Arm was grabbed. Webster picks up another foul. Just his second. 2:42 to go.
And again, just look at the positioning with Alex Pledger there. He's really making a difference. He could see there that Webster had him in front of him, so he sort of hesitated. He went, he jabbed. He's really, really doing a great job of protecting the ring when you've got someone like Casey Prather attacking it.
Prather may have just popped a knock to the knee there in that last exchange. And he's up and he's okay. Kenny back out on the floor. Here's Martin. The screen from McKay. Thought he was lobbing it back up, went himself instead. He couldn't bank it in.
Great defense there from the Breakers.
New Zealand with a chance to take the lead back. Abercrombie. Down low for Mitchell. Wanting to go right at Wagstaff. Abercrombie, tough shot, was almost behind the backboard. Tough angle, stripped away by Pledger. Wrestled back by Damien Martin, and Prather will go right at Webster and finish strongly with the left hand.
Yeah, Pledger was looking at the referee then, but you're never going to get that against Damien Martin. And again, Perth Wildcats in transition.
Big steal by the Wildcats captain. Give his side the lead back. Woodside calling the shots for New Zealand. Drops it in for Pledger. Couldn't finish. Just a little heavy. Got a good look. Massive finish coming up here in the arena. The league's so even. We can tell that already. 7 of the 8 clubs already with a victory on the board. Winning your home games, crucial. Wildcats know that. Kenny going hard. He's fouled by Webster. And he'll shoot a couple of free throws.
Yeah, look, Corey's got to recognise that situation that, you know, Jarrett's heading towards the baseline. I think it's his right hand there just on the hip that got him the foul, but he's heading towards the baseline, and again, you've got the big fella, Alex Pledger, under the hoop. He's not going anywhere. You've got to pick your poison.
Jared Kenny having a big game. 8 points he's got at the moment. 9 points is his career high. He can equal that with the free throw, which he does. And a massive crowd inside this arena. 12,169 fans crammed in, and they're certainly getting their money's worth. There's Kenny on the second free throw. A little heavy. The Cats almost came up with it. McKay and Wagstaff spoilt each other. They would have had the offensive rebound after the miss from Jared Kenny. So the margin will stay at 3.
And that looks like it's on Casey Prather, and that looks like it's his 4th foul, perhaps.
So he's living dangerously from this point in, and it also puts the Wildcats over the limit. And Ben Woodside will shoot a couple of free throws. And he misses the first. Neither side really have shot all that well from the free throw line. 15 of 21, the Breakers. 17 of 22, the Wildcats. As Woodside knocks down the second time. 2-point ball game with 1:16 to go.
Breakers really need to stop here, coming into this last minute to even this game up.
Went to overtime last time we were in this venue. Could it happen again? McKay. Back out for Kenny. He's had a big impact on the contest. He has to pull up for the mid-range jump shot. It bounced once, twice. They're all jumping under the basket, but the Breakers come up with it. Inside the last minute here at the arena. Akil Mitchell has to advance it over halfway. Woodside under pressure from Kenny. Martin's guarding Webster. Prather on Abercrombie. Woodside looking to work past. He flicks it wide. Abercrombie deep in the corner. Tough shot. Possession Perth. A foul by the Breakers. I'm not sure they're actually intentionally trying to do that. And with 31 seconds remaining, the Wildcats will shoot free throws because the Breakers are over the limit.
And not a quality shot by the New Zealand Breakers. And again, I don't know why they're not getting the basketball to Corey Webster. The Wildcats have now put Damian Martin on Corey Webster for a reason. That indicates to me that he's the man to go to, but they're not getting him the ball.
And that foul just so costly for New Zealand. With 31 seconds on the clock, they were going to get the ball back if they'd been able to get a stop. There would have been a chance to go on with it, but as it stands, Casey Prather can just give the Wildcats a little bit of breathing room and extend it to 4 points.
It is. It takes off a lot of pressure, and he's just made the first. And, you know, as you mentioned, breathing room. Little fouls like that are game changers.
No problem with the first one for Casey Prather. No problems with the second either. As Lowe steps back into the contest for the Breakers. Perth now out by 4, but still plenty of time remaining.
Webster's going to need some help here getting the ball, and he's left all alone with the extended pressure.
Abercrombie comes to help out. Woodside advances over halfway. Kicks it out now to Webster. Beyond the arc, throws up the three. Couldn't find it. Big rebound by Lowe. Woodside has to jack it up. That's a little short. Lowe goes again with another offensive rebound. McKay lets him drop in the 2, and it's a 2-point ball game with 12.4 to play. And we're going to get a timeout. There's a late call. That timeout is called. Trevor Gleeson, Paul Hannard just both arguing over who actually called the timeout, but it is a 2-point ball game with 12.4 seconds remaining.
Look, 12 seconds is such a lot of time, and but is it enough? Because we can assume now that New Zealand are going to foul here, and Wildcats are going to go to the free throw line. So it's either going to be a lot of back and forth.
It's crucial for the Wildcats to get this win. You look at their stretch of games coming up. They play the Hawks twice, once at home and once away, and Melbourne United in the middle of that as well. So it's a tough stretch coming up for the Perth Wildcats. As we see, New Zealand always tough to back up after such a long road trip. They've got the Kings, the Bullets, the 36ers, and United as well. But we know there's no easy games in the NBL this season.
Well, I'm just and you know, we sound like broken records sometimes, but there really isn't. There's no games that you can really lock in and say, yeah, this one's going to be a no-brainer. It's just that type of year.
And we look at what is coming up tomorrow. Plenty of NBL action. Saturday night it is the Sydney Kings against the Cairns Taipans. Taipans will be looking to bounce back after that overtime loss last week. And the Kings, of course, led now by Andrew Gaze. It's a 2-point ball game here in the jungle. 12.4 seconds to go. Casey Prather has lifted his side back into it. He's got a career-high 29 points on the board. The Cats will try and soak up as much clock as they can. The Breakers looking for the strip. The two teams have talked it over. Here's Kenny, fouled quickly. And Woodside is called for it. Jared Kenny will go to the free throw line. That's a third foul on Ben Woodside.
And look, out of the guys on the floor, look, to be honest, I think Jared Kenny's really proven himself, and you know, I'd be quite comfortable with him going to the free throw line if I'm Trevor Gleeson.
70% free throw shooter. Here's Jared Kenny. He's got a career-high 9 points on the board already. And we'll see another timeout called here. New Zealand want to talk things over and just make Jared Kenny just think a little bit longer about taking these free throws, Brad Robbins.
Yeah, that's one of the most horrible things that could happen to you when you've got, in particular, if this was a tied game and you've got to go to the bench and think about it, I'd be sweating it up, perhaps.
The Breakers trying to figure out how to get their advantage. The scenario for them, I've got to hope that Kenny misses one of them to allow them back into it right here. Jesse Wagstaff there for the Perth Wildcats. He's really returned to form tonight. He's having to play a lot taller than perhaps he likes this season, but he's got 16 points. He only had 1 of 10 from three-point territory last week, but he's done some good work inside tonight.
Yeah, he certainly has. And look, Jesse's one of those guys that you don't really have to worry about, meaning if he's in a bit of a slump and he's in a bit of bad form, he'll eventually come good. You just leave him alone to his own devices. He is able to play a bigger version of the 4 if he needs to, but just as we can see on screen now, he's much better when he's in that 4 spot. He can take the bigger opponent from the outside and also step back and shoot a 3.
7 points in the first game for Wagstaff, just 3 in the second. As I mentioned, back to some form tonight with 16 on 6 of 10 shooting. Jared Kenny about to take a couple of free throws for the Perth Wildcats. 2-point margin at the moment. He can put it back out to 4 if he's successful with both. Here's the man from New Zealand playing for the Perth Wildcats, who won a championship against the Breakers last season. And he misses that free throw there. And that just opens the door for New Zealand.
Yeah, it certainly does. Regardless of a make or miss, they need to push the ball and get a 3.
Pressure on the second. And he misses both. So New Zealand can either tie or take the lead. Time ticking away. Woodside. Inside is Webster. Throws it up with the right hand. It bounces away and the Wildcats get the win. Perth hang on. The grand final rematch certainly lived up to its billing. The Breakers with a chance to win it at the end, but coming up short, and the Wildcats win it by 2.
Yeah, they did, and look, New Zealand got a good shot at it. They got it to that man, Corey Webster, who I've been screaming all night to get in the ball, and they got a good look, but Wildcats were able to get the stop.
They get the stop right at the end there, Perth, and they take the victory on the back of that man's work. Casey Prather with a career-high 29 points. He is the Ladbrokes player of the match tonight. 10 of 21 from the field, but 29 points. He had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals to go along with it. And he had a big night and a big influence on this game.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he's just a different player than he was last year. And I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, he's got a lot on his shoulders now, and I think he's really taken that in his strides. He's so much more confident on the offensive end. Defensively, he's always reliable, and he's even picking up on the leadership side of things too, and inspiring the rest of the guys.
Casey Prather, Ladbrokes player of the game, with his 29 points, and the Wildcats take the victory in the end. We'll come back and wrap it all up. It was the Perth Wildcats over the top of the New Zealand Breakers by 2 points.
21st of October, Illawarra Hawks are coming to town. Tickets on sale for $10 per child, $20 per adult. Purchase your tickets via ticketing.com.au. Memberships also set apart, so if you want to be part of the Red Army officially, make sure you visit the club desk at the Perth Arena entrance or call 1300 Wildcats to become a member today. Plus, all Wildcat fans in attendance tonight will receive an exclusive Perth discounted membership offer just in time for the home game of 2016-17, which is on next week. Join the Perth as well.
Welcome back to the Perth Arena, where we've seen a thrilling contest in the grand final rematch. It was the Perth Wildcats able to get the job done. They were made to work extremely hard for it, but they burst out of the blocks to start the final quarter and were able to hang on from there. Look, let's have a look at how it all played out with the match stats from tonight's game. Casey Prather was impressive with 29 points to lead the Perth Wildcats, but Brad Robbins, really, the Wildcats got it done inside tonight.
Yeah, they sure did. They really attacked the basket, whether they were throwing the ball to the inside to get it back to basket bucket or in transition. And we're just looking there. It's really quite spread out and even across the board.
Casey Prather with 29 points, Jesse Wagstaff with 16 for the Wildcats, Abercrombie with 12 for New Zealand, and Penny with 11. It was a big night in the jungle, a seesawing contest. It was the Breakers by 3 at quarter time, the Cats 11 at the half, New Zealand by 4 at three-quarter time, but the Perth Wildcats prevailing by 2 points, 75-73.